Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Before we begin, I want to say a couple things. First and foremost, thank you so very much for 717 subscribers. Your continued support is astronomical to me. I didn't think I would get to 500, let alone 717, and slowly growing. Again, thank you infinitely for all of your continued support. Second thing that I kind of want to say is the reasoning for my absence. I have been applying to numerous ISPs, hoping to get my own dedicated internet connection. However, due to different circumstances, I kept being jerked around. I kept being made promises that, oh, your connection is going to be active. Just give us a couple of days extra, blah, blah, blah. And I tried three different ISPs, and at this point, I am convinced that it's something to do with how the physical address is mapped into the Canada Post address, tool, and because the physical address of this building doesn't really exist in the Canada Post address finder tool, ISPs are also having a hard time navigating to this building physically. Now, if you were to Google the address, it's there. It's just, I don't know. It's a weird issue, and it's not one of many. It's one of few, and I'm just having bad luck with the address that I live at. So, until further notice, I have paid off one of my neighbors. I am connected to them, and essentially I'm just double natted until I figure out what to do, and hopefully this is something that will eventually get sorted out, but I won't really hold my breath. This video is going to be focused around hardening and securing PFSense. Now, another kind of disclaimer that I want to bring out to all of you lovely individuals following this channel is that, number one and foremost, security and convenience do not go hand in hand. In fact, they are complete opposites. If you want something to be secure, it will not be convenient, and vice versa. If you want something to be convenient, it's not going to be secure. And the second thing that I kind of wanted to say about this is that this, I guess, summary of activities or actions with regards to a PFSense installation will not give you any type of guarantee that you will be impenetrable. All right, this is just a matter of getting a little bit more secure, becoming a little bit safer on the internet. But realistically speaking, and just please don't take this the wrong way, it's just how it is, kind of the nature of the beast. If somebody wants to penetrate your network, realistically speaking, the only thing that's going to stop them is you disconnecting yourself from the internet. And I'm sorry that's how it is, but that's how it is. If you have been more or less following the news with the latest penetrations, where the biggest one was the Canadian, what was it, private healthcare network. Oh, give me just a sec here. That's the one I was thinking about. It's Amerisource Virgin. They got hacked, and as a pharmaceutical company, they're supposed to have one of the highest network security standards. So, I don't want to give you guys any false hope, any false pretenses that if you do what I say to do, that you will be impenetrable. That is the reality of things, is that it doesn't exist. I do apologize about that. So, the subject of today's video is how we're going to be securing and hardening PFSense a little bit, or the environment that you are going to be running in. The list of actions that I'm going to show you guys today is not exclusive, and it's not complete. So there are different ways to do the same thing, and there's a lot more to it than what I am going to be showing you. So I am going to start off by listing them off, and they're interchangeable. You can do action number 3 before number 1. The way that I have sorted them out is just in quickness and success and quickness of succession of how long it takes to complete every one of them. Each one of them. Sorry. So let's begin. The first action that I will be showing you guys how to do is how to change the username and password. Now, realistically speaking, PFSense doesn't allow for the root username and password to tongue twister. Realistically speaking, PFSense doesn't allow the root username to be changed. So essentially what we're going to be doing is we're going to be disabling the built-in username, and we're going to be creating another one that's different from what the default one is with a similar permission set. And obviously, we're going to give that one a brand new password that is going to be hard to guess. The second thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be disabling Secure Shell, or SSH, as you guys know it. Realistically speaking, we might not even have to do it. It's by default off when you initially install PFSense. But if for some reason you have enabled Secure Shell, and you have forgotten to disable it, this is just a reminder that maybe it will be a good idea to disable it. The third action that we're going to be doing is we're going to be changing the administrative UI access port. Normally, it's port 80 for HTML. No, sorry, not HTML. It's port 80 for HTTP, and it's port 443 for HTTPS. It's just a one string into the advanced settings, and we're just gonna be changing it to something that we would know and sorry, somebody else wouldn't. Next action number 4 is we're going to be disabling UPnP. UPnP has been a known vulnerability for at least a decade now, so turning it off gives you that extra layer of protection. Number 5, we are going to be ensuring that only a allowed list of MAC addresses is able to access the network, and by that action alone is probably going to be the most inconveniencing one, because realistically speaking, you would have to veto every device that's going to be accessing the network, in the sense that if tomorrow you go ahead and buy a new laptop or a new desktop tower, you are going to have to log into PFSense before you are able to connect to the internet, simply because if you connect it, it just won't have network access. It'll be sitting there, and the network adapter will recognize that it's connected to something, but it won't have any access to the network that it's connected to. So this is kind of just to go back into the other saying that I was saying. The initial thing that I was saying at the beginning of the video. Security and convenience are polar opposites of each other. If you want to have a secure network, it won't be a convenient one. But if you want to have a convenient one network, it will not be a secure. So it's kind of just to give you guys like a visual. The next action number 6 that we're going to be doing is we're going to make firewall rules to ensure that the firewall GUI is only accessible through one device. It's a 2-minute rule setup. It doesn't take a lot. Ideally, it would be best if you have a dedicated machine for that, physically speaking, or if not, it would be best to have a virtual machine, which is VLAN to a specific VLAN that ideally does not have access to the internet, and its sole purpose is to administer PFSense's graphics user interface. Number 7, this is probably one of the longest actions that we're going to be performing. We are going to add 2-factor authentication to PFSense through the free radius version 3 plugin that's available from the PFSense plugin repository. And last but not least, we are going to install ZenArmor and CrowdSec so that we can have an additional protection on IPS and IDS onto our installation. Now, please do bear in mind, this is going to be a lengthy video. It's already been 10 minutes and I have just barely finished explaining everything that we're going to be doing. So let's get to it. This is, for the purpose of this video, this is a default PFSense installation that I am accessing via a publicly available Windows 10 download. Windows 10 is not activated. PFSense is running in a virtual machine, and that's how it is. So the default credentials for PFSense are admin and PFSense. Now, when you're going to be logging in, usually it's going to go through the first setup wizard. I've already done that. I don't need to do it a second time. If you do need to do it, please go ahead and do it and come to the dashboard. You are going to have a great big red banner telling you that your admin account has the default password still set. So what we can do, what we are going to do is we are going to go under System, User Manager, and Users. And under Users, we are going to create a new username. So go ahead and click on the big green plus button, and this is going to take you to the new user form. Now, here's my kind of tips and tricks on what to do. If you've been a gamer or if you have a favorite keyword in your mind, just go ahead and do that. For me, it's always been Mr. Radical. If you guys are fans of the Fallout series, you guys will know who Mr. Radical is. It's the guy that died by toxic waste poisoning. And that's what my username is going to be. For the password, this is where a lot of people kind of, they don't necessarily muck it up, but they don't necessarily have very good practice into the password generation and conservation either. So whenever you are going to be setting up a password, the first and probably the most important rule of creating a password is to avoid dictionary words. And the reason why is because if you just Google how a brute force generator works, a brute force generator is basically a automated cycler of dictionary passwords, and what it does is it'll go through every single word in the English alphabet from A to Z, and it's going to test it against your password. That's the general gist of it. Obviously, there is a little bit more to it, but that's the general gist of it. So what you could be doing is, for example, whenever you are coming up with a password and you need to create whatever, right? Let's say that your password is going to be Vancouver 2023 exclamation, right? What I would recommend is obviously always, at the very least, have an uppercase, a lowercase, a number, and a symbol. Have it be at least 10 characters long. And for you to be able to say that you have avoided a dictionary word, Vancouver, even though it's a noun, a proper noun, is a dictionary word in the way that it's written. However, if we muck around with the word a little bit, it's no longer a dictionary word. So we're going to keep the capital V, and the A, we're going to change it to an @ sign. NC O, the O, we're going to change it to a 0. I don't really know what the proper symbol for the U letter is. The V is going to remain as is. The E is going to get changed for a 3, and then the 0 in 2023 is going to get changed for a O. Sorry about that. And then 2023 with exclamation point is going to remain the same. So we're going to paste that, and then oopsie daisy, hold on, what am I doing? Oh, it's not gonna let me see it, huh? Okay, cool. So just copy and paste your password. Make sure that you remember what you're writing, and then just keep it in somewhere safe. Like if you have to write it on a piece of paper and put it under your monitor, somewhere that only you and you alone can access it, fantastic. Nobody else should have access to your password, to your administrative password. I apologize. So, and the next thing that we need to do is we need to add the admins group to the member of section of this. And when we are done, we're just going to click save. So now we have, okay, hold on just a second. Perfect. I want to make sure that I am not missing anything. Security notice, user effectively has, okay, perfect. Okay, user certificates, we don't have to worry about that. Okay, perfect. So everything is good. As soon as you add the user to the admins group, it will receive full admin rights. Now we're going to go back to admin, and we're going to check the disabled box, and to make sure that this user cannot log in, we're going to go down to the bottom, save it, status, it's going to be disabled. We're just going to verify that. And once we are certain that everything is good to go the way we want it to be, we're going to go ahead and sign out. For good measure, we're going to try and log back in, and it's going to give us the username or password not correct. So let's go ahead and log in with the new username that we have created for ourselves. And we, as we can see, now have administrative access via a brand new username and password. The reason why I'm including making this step one is because while I do agree that the default password needs to be changed, what I do not agree is the fact that the root username cannot be changed. I believe that way too many softwares out there have admin as the default username, and it is a common vector of attack, meaning that it is one of the first few things that somebody's going to do whenever they're trying to brute force and test access to your firewall, especially if you have remote access over the internet available. And by leaving the default username active, you have already done 50% of their work for them. So do what you can to make it as difficult as you can for any potential access to your network. The next thing that we're going to do is action number 2. We are going to disable secure shell access. It's okay when you have it locally, just don't forget it, because whatever, just don't forget it on. By default, however, secure shell is turned off for PFSense, but if for whatever reason you have turned it on at some point, there is about 50% chance that you have forgotten it on. So let's go ahead and turn it off. How do you turn it off? Under System, Advanced, under Admin Access, go ahead and scroll all the way to the bottom to the Secure Shell section of the page, and make sure that Enable Secure Shell is turned off. And actually, while we are here, we can do parts 3 as well. And one part that I did forgot to say, so we're going to add it as section 3.5, is we are going to make sure that the console is password protected. So just go ahead and click on this box right here. Oh, hold on, let me just move my head out of the way. Console menu is basically the physical access to whenever you have a display connected to your PFSense box. So just this, basically what that means is that it's going to give another layer of protection for anybody who might have physical access to the PFSense machine. And while we are here, let's go ahead and also change the TCP port for HTTPS. Now, because this box is empty, by default, it's going to be for port 443. So let's go ahead and just a random number. It doesn't really matter. So 15,433 is what I am going to be putting. And as you have noticed, I didn't put 15,443. I put 15,433 because one of the familiar vectors that I try when I'm pinging a port is 0 through 99 and then 443. So that puts a little bit of guessing out of commission, because if 400 XX 443 does not work, then you are again taking away a possible attack vector from any potential vulnerability outside of your gate. So let's go ahead and scroll all the way down and click on save. And our changes have been saved. So we're going to go ahead and wait until we are redirected to the new address and the new port. Only takes 20 seconds. You only have to tolerate my silence for 20 seconds. And we are active on our new port. Next thing that we want to do, of course, is we are going to disable UPnP. As mentioned in my intro, UPnP has been a vulnerability since, I believe, early 2010s is when it was discovered. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to be speaking out of memory. Let's Google it together. When was UPnP declared as a vulnerability? In 2011. Oh, wait, no, that's when it was developed. Okay, so just please accept the fact that UPnP is still very dangerous because it will give access to unauthorized access to the inside part of your network, hence the reason why it's being disabled. If I remember correctly, UPnP in PFSense is also disabled by default. So just if it isn't, if this box is checkmarked, just make sure that you remove the checkmark. Scroll all the way to the bottom of the page and click save. The next part that we're going to be talking about is MAC filtering. My apologies. Is MAC filtering and allowing only trusted MAC addresses onto your network. Now, before we do any of that, there is a little bit of preparation that we need to do. So our currently active machine, what we want to do is we are going to go into the DHCP server, and actually, hold on just a sec, because so what we want to do is we want to get the MAC address of our device that we're going to be using for admin purposes. In this case, it's going to be this guy right here. And what we are going to do is we are going to give it a static mapping. So please bear with me for a second while I just key this in. 000C29. 000C29. 0FCCED. Perfect. Then we're gonna give it a MAC address, an IP address of 192.168.5. We're gonna create it, and this desktop. Okay, so I do apologize about taking this. Huh, hmm, I think yes. Oh, it's because sorry. Yes, so 172.16.0.5. My apologies. It's fat fingered it. Okay, I'm gonna click on apply changes. Then we are going to remove this. Um, please. Wait, perfect. There we go. So now our machine is assigned. The reason why I had to do this little bit of preparatory work and add the virtual machine MAC address into the DHCP stack mapping is because the moment I enabled the trusted MAC addresses only, any machine that is not added onto the DHCP static mapping will not have access to PFSense, not have access to the network, and will not have access to the internet through this gateway. Please allow me to demonstrate. So over here under the DHCP server and whatever interface that we're going to be working on, deny unknown clients is the option that we're going to be changing. Allow known clients from this interface or from only this interface. I apologize. So basically what that means is that if the device is not, oops, sorry, if the device is not added onto the static mappings list, it will not have any access. And I will demonstrate this. I have a clone. Sorry, hold on just a sec. I I have just changed it. I do have a second machine that is added to the same network. So now, let's see, ipconfig/renew. It will time out, essentially, is what's going to happen. However, when we go ahead and we add the MAC address into the static mapping table, it will have access to the network. And as you can see, Windows does recognize that it's plugged into something, but it just doesn't recognize what it's plugged into. Hence, it does need quote unquote manual configuration. Normally, this is what happens when this shows up. Now, obviously, it's going to time out. Not going to wait for it to time out. So, oh, whoopsie daisy, I clicked F11 by mistake. So, this is the please allow me just a second to enter the to add the information. Now we are MAC address. This is 000C29 B5 C3 BC, and then the client IP address is 172.16.0.10, just for shenanigans. and we're going to give it a name Q6R T89 Golf. And just so you guys know that I'm not shenaniganing you, as you can see, MAC address, desktop name, sorry, host name. And then we are going to go down to the bottom and we're going to click save and apply changes. Now, when we go ahead and we try to renew, we are actually going to finally receive an IP address. And that is a very, in my opinion, clear demonstration to what that function allows it. What that function does and how it protects your network on an additional layer. Now, you're probably gonna say, "Oh, what if you pre-configure the IP and stuff like that?" Well, realistically speaking, if the person plugs in a machine into, say, the switch that you are using to distribute your network, and there is, say, a lack of a VLAN, the problem is that layer 2 is still going to work. That setting is only for layer 3, and if it's directly connected and controlled by the router. If somebody, by whatever reason, properly guesses your subnet and your VLAN, the reality of things is that they're still going to have layer 2 access into your network. However, layer 2 is still not as bad as layer 3. Now, there are different ways to mitigate it. However, it's kind of the outside of the scope of this video, and this video is already going to be long enough by itself. So we're gonna leave it for a little bit later to deal with that. That's gonna be something that I deal with when I go into like a little bit more advanced networking features and how to control network from a layer 3 switch and mitigate any type of potential attack vectors from inside of the network on a physical level. But for now, please just keep it as is, and it's something that we're going to explore together a little later. So now that we have explored this option and we have only enabled trusted MAC addresses to access our network, we can go ahead and continue with the configuration of our PFSense. And the next thing that we need to do is we need to enable only one IP to access the GUI of our PFSense machine. So how do we do that? Step number 6, allow only one device to manage the UI via rule. How do we do that? Under firewall tab, go ahead and go under rules. And we are going to select the interface that's going to be affected. And then we're going to click on add. So what I like to do is I like to do the rule of few. It's kind of how I create my rules. If it's easier to configure, or sorry, to forbid more than one host to do something, rather than to allow fewer hosts to do something, I will forbid the many, and by definition that will allow, sorry, by exclusion that will allow the few to do whatever it is they need to do. Here's what I mean by that. So, source, we are going to say so we're going to create a blocking rule. Okay, so keep that in your minds. We're going to create a blocking rule for any host that is not 172.16.0.5 on a connected to the local area network interface and to the destination of this firewall. I think it doesn't show us GUI, does it? Okay, so no problem. So we are going to put, remember, we did change the admin GUI interface, so we need to put the admin GUI interface. So 15.433 15433. Now, before we enable this setting, let's go ahead into our other machine and see if we can access the firewall. Give it just a second. Yes, I know. Read setup. So 172.16. Whoopsie daisy. 172.16.0.1 semicolon 14.433. Huh. Okay. Oh, HTTPS. Can you please let me write, sir? Man. Okay. As we can see, we have access to the GUI interface from a separate machine. That shouldn't be allowed, right? This is really bad, really bad. This is the time to panic. Don't panic. We're going to fix that right now. So go back into the administrative interface of your PFSense, and we're going to complete our rule. So make sure that we block any address that is not, because we are inverting the match, that is not 192.168 or sorry 172.16.0.5, because that is, sorry, this machine right here that we are using, and we are allowing essentially, sorry, we are blocking any machine that is not this machine from accessing PFSense. And if everything goes according to plan, we are going to add the description: block any PC that is not management PC from PFSense access. And that's a nifty little description that summarizes what we are doing here. And we are going to go ahead, click on save. And of course, we are going to go ahead and click on apply. Now, I forget if we need to refresh our lease, but let's go ahead and see. Yeah, okay, so we still have access. So let's try and add access. We still don't have. Okay, that's good. So radical, and as you can see, we still have access, right? Which is very bad. So let's sign out. I'm sorry. Let's sign out of here, and we are going to do ip config/release, and we're going to renew it. Now, I believe, if everything is according to plan, that if I refresh this page, what? Okay, interesting. Hmm. Okay. Okay, so TCP/UDP. Oh, I think this is the right thing to do. Okay, so give me just a second here to verify. Okay, so this is still active. All right, so let's do, instead of destination, uh, LAN address. Realistically speaking, man, it is still the rule is sound. That's how. So every address, sorry, traffic from any address that's not this IP to this via port this is going to be blocked. Okay. Oh, right. Uh, we need to toggle. Okay. So I totally forgot about the allow all, and okay. So let's see. Google.ca. Do we have internet? That is very interesting. Okay. Um, there's a reason why this is not working. Uh, there it is right here. It's sorry. I might have to backtrack just for a second here, please. Um, disable lockout. Oh, there we go. This is it right here. This is the reason why my shenanigans were not working. Now, if I go back to the firewall, rules, LAN, okay, so that's removed. Okay. My goodness. I have to tweak this up a little bit. Okay. It's sorry, just a second here. I know it's source LAN to you know what? Uh let's go into the rules. And then again, just okay. Last chance. Hopefully this will get it to work. So I still have anything that's not 1605 trying to access this. So if everything goes according to plan, two, ah, I am missing something. I don't know what I'm missing. But it's obvious that I'm missing something. Okay, so let's try this again. Ah, okay. Right. Okay, good. I have removed internet access. Perfect. Two. Oh, there we go. Hey, finally. So, thank you for your patience. Here's exactly how you can now add internet access back to your network. So now what you need to do is you essentially need to create two more roles. Um, pass LAN IPv4 and any from LAN network, where is it? Subnets to any destination. Protocol TCP UDP HTTP and access to HTTP. Then LAN IPv4 TCP UDP source LAN subnets destination me to HTTPS. Fantastic. Now we are going to renew our google.ca. This should work. Oh, DNS. I also need DNS. Uh, I think it should be this firewall for DNS. Allow DNS. Oh, sorry, it's again, this is just to reiterate that security and convenience, they don't go hand in hand together. Okay, so there you go. Basically, what you need to do essentially to have um, only one client access your firewall is, by the way, I do appreciate you guys, as always, being very patient while I troubleshoot my own tutorials. Thank you. But essentially, this is what you need to do. Okay. Disable the lockout rule. Disable the default allow any for IPv4 and IPv6. Recreate one deny rule, which is essentially going to be denying. Please bear with me, my English is not very good tonight. Which you're essentially going to be denying one IP, or sorry, you're going to be allowing only one IP by denying every other one to access your firewall. And then you are going to be allowing access to port 80, 443, and 53. Now, to be honest with you, like, I kind of want to mess around and refine HTTP and HTTPS. I will probably do this off camera and update it in the video description, but for now, this is kind of how, actually, you know what? We've already done it. Let's go ahead. We've already raised. Okay. Uh-oh. What did I do? Uh-oh. I think I might have. Dang it. I think I might have locked myself out of it. Okay. Intermission. It took me a little bit of time, and by little I mean really about 15 minutes, but I got it down. So in the downtime that it took me to figure out what I did wrong, I also tested the additional rules with what if I just put destination this firewall in the destination for HTTP and HTTPS did not work. However, when this firewall is managing DNS, it works fine. For HTTP and HTTPS, it needs to be destination any, and for the blocking of every IP, there's only one little thing that I did not anticipate. By default, okay, PFSense is an implicit deny firewall. What that means is that unless there is a specific rule to allow access to something, PFSense will absolutely block it. And that was my mistake because I forbade absolutely everything that was not 172.16.0.5 to access the firewall. However, I did not specifically say that 172.16.0.5 can access PFSense GUI on port 15433. Hence why it stopped working. I was being a little misled, thinking that it worked initially because it didn't block it right away. However, when it blocked it, it became immediately clear to me that I effed up. I do apologize about that. And for those who do end up locking themselves out, the default administrator username and password will work under console, so you can always physically log it, like walk physically to the machine, disable the firewall, fix your rules, and then re-enable your firewall, and that will get you out of this pickle. And last but not least, oh yes, we're just going to confirm that currently we have the desired effect. So this is 172.16.0.5. Can we access the GUI? Yes, we can. Let's go to another machine. 172.16.0.10. Can we access the internet? Yes, we can. Can we access the GUI? No, we cannot. So, albeit through a little bit of trial and error, we have our desired result. Now, the next step, step number 7, which is the before last step, before we complete this video, because it is starting to get a little bit longer and we are reaching the 1 hour point, is we are going to enable multi-factor authentication for PFSense through FreeRadius. So what do we need to do? Number 1, we need to go into the package manager, and under available packages, we need to get FreeRadius 3. And let's go ahead and install it. Okay, FreeRadius is installed. We are continuing. So now that FreeRadius is installed, how do we actually enable two-factor authentication? I am kind of using a little bit of memory helper because I am not 100% familiar with the process, but through my trial and error, hopefully you will also become more or less familiarized and enable this into your installations of PFSense. So under services, once FreeRadius is installed, just go ahead and go under FreeRadius. Next, what you want to do is you want to go under settings. And if we mobile one-time passcode. We are just going to enable the one-time code. And under hash algorithm, we're going to select the strongest one, SHA-256. Go ahead and click on save. For after that, you want to go under interfaces. For interfaces, you want to create a new virtual interface. It's going to be any. Authentication is going to be the type, and we are going to call it PFSense 2FA. This is what it's going to come up at. Under NAS or clients, we are going to add a new one. Interface is going to be any. Client short name is going to be auth, authentication. We're going to leave the shared. That's fine. We're going to leave it open because I'm not sure if we need to have. Actually, my mistake. We want to have it only from local address. Let's go ahead and do a strong password generator. We're going to put 31. Secret. And that's okay. Now we're going to go under users, under system. Oh, sorry, users. And we're going to create. I wonder. If we put now, how is it going to oh, sure, let's do it. And I'm going to put a password of password just for testing purposes, because we do have to at some point one-time password, so Google Authenticator will be using blah blah blah. Okay. All right. So um just for finagling, free radius, Mr. Radical. Okay. Okay. That should be all. Password must be left empty. One-time password. Let's okay. So if we leave that out, okay. So right. let's go ahead and hopefully have a little bit of luck. Okay, that's fine. So system, user manager. Now, because free radius, UFA authenticator, path radius attribute, and we're gonna click on save authentication under diagnostics, and we are going to put this. All right, so let's test us locking ourselves out. So Mr. Radical, and hey, fantastic. The last thing that we need to do is then just change the authentication server system, or sorry, uh, user manager. Authentication server is going to be free radius. We're going to save, and we're going to go under groups. Right. Oh, okay. So now I need to add another user. I must have missed something, but I will post this just in the description below. It's actually a pretty interesting way to add two-factor authentication. I am just going to remove it for now, anyways. Uh, services free radius. Just so that I don't lock myself out of this. But interestingly enough, right? Let's go ahead and remove that. And perfect. And it's actually a pretty good way just to add another layer of protection. I know a little bit of confusion right there and there when it was happening, but this is only like my third time doing it, and I just wanted to make sure that despite the result of me not being able to do it right, I wanted to do it properly. But I couldn't. Simple as that. But if you feel comfortable enough to do it, go ahead and do it. I'm not really gonna do the last step, install ZenArmor in CrowdSec, because the video is over 1 hour already. However, I will just also post a link to the other video where I actually do install CrowdSec and ZenArmor and CrowdSec, and that so far on its own should actually give you a pretty well-rounded protection on top of everything that we have gone all together. And to be entirely honest with you, the moment that you isolate your PFSense GUI, graphical user interface, you shouldn't have to worry about two-factor authentication, simply because it will be well enough protected, especially for a home environment. Now, it's not going to be perfect. Don't get me wrong, it's not going to be perfect. And this list on its own is not a complete list of everything that you can do to add layers upon layers upon layers of security to your PFSense installation and deployment. However, more isn't not however in addition to, more isn't always better. Having 25 layers of security for maybe an environment where you don't necessarily need that much security is not necessarily a great thing. But on its own, with the amount of security that we have added so far, disabling secure cell, making sure that the GUI port is changed, disabling UPnP, making the firewall only accessible via trusted and known MAC addresses, and then isolating the management MAC address on its own, we already have a fairly secure environment, and it will be extremely difficult by somebody who wants to penetrate the network. It's not going to be impossible, but it's going to be extremely difficult by somebody who wants to penetrate the network to do it with so many unknown variables, with having a non-standard username and password, having a trusted only MAC network, having a single machine that is allowed by MAC address and IP to be managed, to have access to the GUI. And whether or not you consider this enough is up to you and your environment, obviously. You can always add more. Again, this is not really a complete list. There is more to do to continuously secure this. And guys, please remember, security is not a one and done. Security is a continuously evolving, continuously developing action. Sorry. And you shouldn't slip with something as important as security. Now, that being said, this video has been long enough as it is. Thank you for joining me. Again, thank you for your continued support. Thank you for your unwavering support and continuing to watch the videos that I've made in the past, and continuing to support me with your viewership and your subscriptions. I appreciate it so much. The wife is also excited to see you guys support me. I love you all. Thank you. Stay curious. Stay technical, and continue to solve problems. I will see you all in the next one. Bye for now.